Monday, December 5th, 2022, Fairfield City Council work session. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Here.
Brackman.
Here.
Surya. Here. Reynolds.
Present.
Faulkner.
Here.
Eklund.
Here.
DeVersa.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
And President Dolls.
Here.
In my own room.
Andrew, pay
It's
attention.
a great world
I
to
feel
be
like a kid in the back of the room again.
Yeah, I was gonna give her.
No, I was,
She was coming.
I gotta spin it. Okay, is there anybody here from the public who would like to speak? Please give your name and address.
Hold my breath for an hour now. No. Melissa Paternetti, 346 Faulkner Street. I haven't been here in a while. Been taking a little bit of a break from the hustle and bustle of the politics of Jamestown, because budget time is kind of gross. Anyway, the reason I'm here tonight is because something tragic happened again. The woman that was killed from South Dayton, 71 years old, killed by the same man that killed Lexi Hugan. Okay. So, I'm gonna try to keep myself together. So, for the last month, I've been doing a fundraiser to raise money to do something in memory of Lexi. I've spoken with Dan Stone, I've spoken with the parents. There's a bunch of stuff on the side of the road, and I want to get it cleaned up. And I know that the DPW meeting, was talked about. People wrote in and asked if the city could do something, and I totally understand that the city can't formally do something for the family, for the little girl. So I raised over $2,000 this last month to buy some benches with a plaque and a stone. And one other little surprise, that I thought I was gonna have a drawing from Gary Peters, but he didn't get a chance to get to it. But I would like to ask the council if they would approve a large peace sign made of bricks for memorials in the middle of that yard of the playground at Dow Street. So I learned a little something about that Dow Street Park, that it's run by the Underground Railroad Commission, and that the city only has something to do with the fenced-in area. Lived here my whole life, didn't know that. So Dan and I have had several discussions, because we don't want to do anything without the parents, correct? They should be the final say-so. So I've reached out to a company called Bricks R Us. I got their name from the Community Foundation, and they do all of it, except for putting it together once the bricks are sold. So we'll offer this to the community. The bricks are I think they're like $18 or $19, and then there's an additional fee for the price of the engraving. And anyone can buy a brick. They can write a quote, they can write a song, they can write a poem, they can write in memory of so-and-so, or they can just write Lexi's name. She was very fond of rainbow and green, as I've heard, and I'm gonna try to do the rainbow colors on the outside with the green in the inside, and call it Lexi's Corner. That playground is absolutely the perfect spot for this to happen. It'll not only make the park purposeful, but it'll give people a spot to come and really try to heal. I know that the Blue Heron, they have this run up there for one of their people, and they donated money to the college, to the high school for the counseling center to do stuff for kids. Like, she had a lot of friends, and they're devastated. I don't know how to deal with it, and I didn't even know the little girl. I knew her parents. We need to heal as a community, and this tragedy that happened this weekend is gut-wrenching to this family, and I feel like, I will do whatever I have to raise the money. Dan said that he can't approve something with the bricks. He's told me to come to you guys and see, do I need to go to the Parks and Recreation Commission? Do I just come to you? And so here I am. And then once you tell me what I can do, I'm you know, the benches are $600 to $800. He said you can have them within 2 months. I already have the money. I had a winner win 2 places, and she donated $650 back. Thank you, Ann Mathis. So I have $2,150 to make sure that I can make somewhere special for this little girl's family, friends, and her. And then get that spot cleaned up. Also, she was very much into art and music, so I thought either putting some of her artwork in that space. I mean, I don't know if you really realize how much space is in there. I took a picture of it. I could pass it around to you. It's just on my phone. It's a beautiful corner. It was like almost meant for her to cross the street from the park, if I can find it. It's probably the best. Should enter sideways, doesn't matter, does it? Nope, no, oops.
Is it in the fenced-in area?
It is in the fenced-in area, and it's like a non-useful space right now. It's just a bunch of grass.
So would this kind of be across the street from the church?
It's across the street from the
Or-
From the
Right,
library.
parking lot.
Okay. All right.
Dan Stone and I also talked today about possibly getting some things in that area made with the trees from 3rd Street. Maybe like a box for books. Maybe possibly getting some of the playground musical instruments. Or just, you know what I mean? Like, really, we have that beautiful space and we need to make it something. And, you know, I asked for you guys tonight, you know, to think about it. And hopefully next Monday, you got a meeting next Monday, I can bring a drawing in. I can also email it to you, and go from there. It's hard to put the idea in my head on paper that Gary's drawing, but he's gonna do his best, because I'm not an artist. But I really think that, you know, the parents, when I first started this, they were like, you know, they didn't want it moved, and I get it, you know, but we're making it more than what it started out to be. I was just gonna get a little plaque, and then I talked to Andrew, I'm like, can I put a pole? And he's like, no. And I'm like, can we put a tree? No, there's already one there. So this is definitely something that's been well thought out. And like I said, you know, I'm willing to do any kind of fundraising to pay for anything, you know, because like I said, I know that the city can't be that person that puts that there. And one other thing, and I know I'm over my time, I'm so sorry, but I really want to talk about the school zone safety. You know, I know that it was talked about, but what's being done? You know, like, what is being done? Kids have to get hit again? You know, I mean, I know that it's not a snap of a finger and you can, you know, make a school zone really safe, but we need some flashing and blinking lights at these crosswalks. You know, I frequent a bar that has crosswalks on and it's hard to cross the street. You know, when you want to cross the street, you have to make sure that cars are seeing you. And you know, like the car should know that it's a law to stop at a stop sign. No matter if it has a stop sign or it has a yield sign, it has a person walking, people need to pay attention, and they're not. You know, there's that one over there by the library. Like, there's so many, and I know that it costs money, but there has to be somewhere, somehow, that we can even get blinking, flashing lights that are solar, or something like the Resource Center. They have one, they're the only one, the Resource Center crosswalk is the only one that has something that kind of flashes, you know, to let people know that there's a crosswalk there. You know, I mean, signs are sometimes hard to see, you know, and especially when there's a lot of leaves on the trees, and that's a whole nother ballgame. But, you know, I just want you guys to really start to take it serious. Take it serious. Because if you don't take it serious, someone's gonna get killed. Okay? Again. Got it? Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Gary Mooney. I'm a resident of Jamestown. I live at Hotel Jamestown, right down the street here. I came here about 5 years ago. Lexi's mother was one of my first friends and professional partners here in Jamestown. And she was pretty much the backbone of Spire Theater and of Infinity Music School. I am a musician and have been an educator. So Lexi's passing, Lexi's accident has been very close to my circle. This recent tragedy, which is politically foreseeable because of the individual involved and what is known of the original accident. It was foreseeable that this weekend was possible, if not inevitable. I encourage your efforts to memorize and commemorate Lexi's memory. It's a good goal. I would like to emphasize the education of situational awareness and what the city can do, and probably your limitation is to ensure the safety of intersections, to manage pedestrian traffic where corners are indeed very narrow and dangerous. I encourage the campaign of stop, look, listen, and think. Is it safe to cross the street? You have to stop and look before you get to the corner, not once you get there. I would like to encourage any departments in the city that could encourage this education in schools, in playgrounds, wherever possible, to bring this message forward, to be aware of your traffic situation. In my mind, a 15-year-old should see a Mack truck coming at her, even if she has the right of way. You have to stop, think, look around in all directions, and listen for oncoming traffic. Anything less than that situational awareness puts you at risk, whether you're in a TA truck stop or on the corner next to the library. That is my net point, and I thank you for your work. Thank you.
Thank
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to address some of the issues with the school zones, because it is something that our team has been working on pretty diligently since all of the various accidents have happened. We've been working directly with the school district. In many cases, the LED flashing beacons have been on back order for quite some time. In particular, we work directly with the school district in the intersections where Purcell is at, and we're also working with the county on potential road redesigns for that area. In terms of the other schools, we did apply for a federal grant called the Safe Streets for All, which is part of the Complete Streets and the policy that you all passed not too long ago that would include various school zones. We've also engaged with a consultant to help us look at all school zones and what items could be added to each school zone area. So right now we're in the process of trying to figure out potential grant funding, and also to try to figure out where does the school see there are needs. Because one of the biggest things we found is we may think we know where kids are coming to school, and when we talk to the principals and the school district, in many cases, They're actually telling us they're coming from other directions, right? So we have been working diligently with the school district to try to figure those things out. So it is not lost on us, and it is something that we are working on. And unfortunately, it does take more time than just put up flashing beacons. In many cases, we're still waiting for those flashing beacons, which is really a challenge. But it's been a really great partnership with the school district, who has actually helped fund some of the things we were looking to do. The other thing to address was the Dow Park peace sign. We will refer that to the Parks and Recreation Department, and I will work with Dan on what that might look like, so that the council has a better understanding of the need for that.
I would encourage you to bring the drawings layout from Mr. Peters next meeting, so you can hand it out to everyone, so we can see what your vision is.
Yeah, I was hoping that, I brought it to him like 11:30 and asked them to do it, and I don't really got it like that. But yeah, I'll make sure, as soon as I can get something from him, I'll, email it to you guys and even drop it off or whatever. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Move on to committee reports, Kim, what do you think?
So we had quite a few resolutions. The first resolution is establishing the depositories, which is a yearly resolution for the city of Jamestown and banks. So that was approved through finance. The second resolution is whereas section 104-B of the general municipal law requires the governing body of every municipality to adopt a procurement policy for all goods and services which are not required. Comments have been solicited from all officers in the city involved in the procurement process. Now therefore, following procurement policy for the year 2023, which is intended to apply to all goods and services which are not required by law to be bid. You all received a copy of that procurement policy in your backup. And again, this is just an update yearly policy for 2023. That was approved through finance. Resolution number 3, appropriating $250,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act, Healthy Communities and Neighborhoods to the 19A Homeownership Program funds. As I explained in finance, the reason this is on here is I noticed at the 9th hour as we were going through the voting process that the resolutions were written incorrectly. We had a resolution that was approved under regular business that allocated $500,000 to the 19A. And then we had 2 resolutions under new business. One took 250 of that away. So this 250 is actually giving you 500 in full to the 19A. So that is a correction. That is approved through finance. Resolution number 4 is that the Jamestown City Council designates $68,895.16 in American Rescue Plan Act Transparency and Tracking Funds for the purpose of replacing 20 Cisco switches to be purchased from the SHI International. That was approved from finance, and as you all recall, this was one of the budget items that Mark had discussed as a need for in IT, so we will be bringing that through ARPA, and that was approved. Resolution number 5 is just authorizing the mayor to purchase from SHI the 20 Cisco switches for a total amount not to exceed $68,895.16. Resolution number 6 is again, I think, incorrect, so I have asked Katie to address it. It should not be coming out of contingency, it really should be coming out of ARPA. It was a $21,400 over the $100,000 we approved for the ARPA roof. It just needs to come out of ARPA, the additional fund, not contingency.
Yeah, one of the recommendations from talking with our finance staff actually was to take it out of contingency instead of hitting the ARPA one. We can certainly take it out, but obviously there's been a lot of concern taking any further ARPA money. So we do have $100 and some thousand left in contingency and a month to go, so we figured we'd go with contingency instead. But certainly, depending on what you all decide, if you prefer ARPA, which is a limited resource, or obviously contingency is as well, we could do either.
I think you would have a harder time explaining to an auditor that you took part of it out of ARPA and part of it out of contingency, to be honest with you.
I don't think it matters to them from our understanding, but we can certainly look into that.
Again, part of the contingency rolls into the over-under, so I'm not overly concerned out of finance if it comes out of ARPA. It's 21,000, not 200,000. Because it was actually in all the numbers that we got presented all along, it had the 121 for it. So. Resolution number 7. Mayor Santos hereby is authorized and directed into an agreement with the County of Chautauqua for stop DWI services beginning January 1st, 2024, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. That was approved. Resolution number 8, whereas Rand Machine Products, a business located at 2072 Allen Street Extension in Faulkner, New York, has gifted the city of Jamestown the sum of $2,000 and no cents to fund the purchase of smoke alarms for the Jamestown Fire Department's Fire Prevention Outreach Program. It is resolved that the city of Jamestown hereby accepts the donation, and be it further resolved that the city of Jamestown hereby extends its appreciation and gratitude on behalf of the citizens of the city of Jamestown to Kurt W. Grimm and the employees of Rand Machine Products for their generous donation. Also note that the all smoke alarms purchased from this donation would be made available through the fire department's existing distribution policy. Again, I personally want to thank the employees and Kurt of Rand Machine for all they have given to the city, both through the police department and now the fire department. And then under informational and report, we had a Q3 sales tax update, and Katie is going to talk about that.
So on December 1st, we received our quarter sales tax payment. The amount was $2,206,455.34. This is a decrease compared to 2021 of $48,207 or 2.1%. Compared to our annual budgeted amount for sales tax revenue, we're at 74.7%. So we are pretty confident that we'll hit our target goal for this year.
Also, on the attachment is the history of the sales tax going back to 2017 in your package. Quarter to quarter, year to year, whatever you wanted to look at.
For those of you that have not met, Katie Maycock is our deputy comptroller. I know it's, we talked about her tangentially a couple of months back, but she's here in flesh, so.
We briefly talked about also the grant update. I don't know if you want to go into detail of it, or if you just want me to mention the overview that I mentioned in finance, just saying where we were at.
It's fine.
In your packet, you received the overall detail both for the city of Jamestown and for Jamestown Community Colleges. Grants of the 25 awarded grants, the city has received 15 of those. Of the 18 denied, the city had 13 of them denied, and pending, the city has 10 of the 10 that are pending overall. And there are also 6 in progress, which 2 of those are the community college and 4 of those are ours. And we have received to date $3,011,169.00. Pardon me, I forgot my glasses if I read that wrong, but year to date, or in the total grants in that date range. So I think that's proven to be a success for the city. We appreciate it.
We certainly have a lot of grants that are pending. We did speak with Paul, our grant writer, and she said for some reason municipalities tend to have a lot more pending grants that are just based on different funding cycles. The community college grants tend to go a lot quicker. And so we've been thankful. We did meet with the community college to go through and do a review for our grant writer and to talk about the partnership. And from all accounts, we both felt that the partnership has been very successful, both to the city and to the community college. And we're very appreciative that you all allowed us to do that. And it certainly has brought in, within the first year, quite a lot of money that is made up for that salary alone. So thank you all for that, and we're excited to continue forward with that partnership.
And that is all the finance.
Any questions? Now, move on to house.
Thank you. We had no resolutions, but we did have a discussion about the 19A program, and Corporation Counsel's Office in Haskell did indicate that on Windsor Street 523, he's got a resolution that needs to be prepared, and 17 hearing is a work in process. We are looking at the demolitions, discussion about the Washington Street and 7th house that burned about a year and a half ago, that it is currently being addressed by the owner of the property, that the asbestos removal is started, and although we'd like to see it done sooner than later, the Department of Development Director, Crystal Cervic, indicated that it's usually about a 30-day window, but it could be up to 90 on the abatement, so at least it's underway, but no idea when it will actually be finished. As far as other demos, there is nothing in the pipeline to be scheduled yet before the end of this year. However, with the funding that was applied for the land bank, they're hoping that they will get more bidders. Right now, we only have 2 out of the 5 contractors that are certified for asbestos abatement. And we're hopeful that maybe by clustering projects of demolition, that maybe we will get out of the area bidders, either from Erie or Cat County even. So that might help in terms of getting the work done more quickly. The property that was a 7th fire at 214 West 7th Street, that property has been condemned. So it looks like that will be probably definitely on the demo list. The one unfortunate piece of business as far as the demolition, the EPA and DEC are involved in the former Crawford building fire. It's hopeful that they will come in with funds for the demolition. However, the actual cost, because of the size of the property, could be 3 times the cost of the former furniture factory that was demoed by the city at the city's expense. So that was not good news. If the EPA and DEC do not come through, it could wipe out our entire demolition budget for next year. So that was it. At least on the fortunate side, the code enforcement had barrels of hazardous materials removed prior to the fire. However, there were still some remaining, and that is an additional issue that they'll have to address in the demolition phase, and it's presumed to have asbestos as well. So it's gonna be quite a costly demo, but that was it. And unfortunately, we did not have anybody to report on the senior home improvements application. We did query whether or not the letters went out to those individuals who had been approved, but not eligible because the funding wasn't available. And we're hoping to have an answer for that by next week. So
Those letters did
They did go out.
The second round of letters did go out.
when did they go out? We've been getting calls, and I don't know, mailing has been late in the city. but-
Certainly has, there's been a lot of challenge, but I will confirm the date with
Okay.
Lisa in the morning and let you all know.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Of course,
because,
no problem.
You know, I don't know if other members of the calls, but I have been receiving phone calls asking I was approved, but no funding. Can you please let me know, find out what's going on?
And projects are fairly along swiftly,
I'm glad to
my
hear
understanding.
that. Glad to
So-
hear that. Well, I have one that's waiting, so, but that was it from housing.
Thank you.
Without going into any detail, I'm assuming that the city can seek legal action against the owner of the former Crawford building.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Getting this, I don't know.
Hey, Mr. President. First three resolutions we have with the finance committee. Is $21,200, fire station number 4's roof project. Second resolution is, mayor attempting an agreement with County Chautauqua for stop WI services. The third was accepting the $2,000 from Rain Machine Products for the purchase of smoke detectors for the program. Fourth resolution we had was approving Dollar Jar licenses or game to chance licenses for cable of our veterans organizations here, or organizations. The the 263 BPL Elks, number 2145 for Tournament Holder of Eagles, the Jamestown Vietnam Veterans, and the Iowa Springs Veterans Club. Fifth resolution was approving the regular meetings of the City Council of the City of Jamestown for year 2023. And these meetings will be held the last Monday of the month, with the exceptions of May and December. And finally, the last resolution was designating the Post Journal as the official newspaper for publications of proceedings and official notices for the City of Jamestown for the period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st. We did have a brief discussion about scooters and motorized bicycles in the streets. No regulations against those. We do advise people to be cautious when they're operating them, especially this time of year. Try to stay on the sidewalks, but,
Hold on.
like, motorized scooters or, wheelchairs that we see in the streets. There's been some concern about that it is legal for them to be in the streets, and don't have to have license plates or anything like that. But people need to be cautious, because it's dangerous to operate those in the streets. That was all we got.
That issue about the wheelchairs has been addressed many years ago, because there was a point at which people were getting stopped. But the problem has been that in areas where the curb cuts are not clear, people don't have an option. If people do not clear the sidewalks in the curb cut areas, people in wheelchairs will get stuck. So we've addressed this many, many times. There has to be a requirement that people clear their areas, and that would eliminate a lot of the issue with people doing that in the streets. I'm having a bigger problem with people that are doing those motorized, they're like two wheels, almost like a, I don't know what you call it. the mul-
Hoverboards?
Yes,
Hoverboard?
hoverboard, thank you. Because they're going down the street. I almost hit one coming the wrong way down 4th Street that was in the middle of Washington Street and turned left on a one-way street, riding down the middle. Nothing, no lights. They're becoming more of a problem to me than the wheelchairs and some of the other things. So I think it's a subject of law enforcement. What do we do? Can we ticket those individuals who are driving recklessly on those things? I can't say that people in wheelchairs are trying to drive recklessly, but some of them are compelled to be in the street. But some of the other ones are creating more of a hazard, and they're harder to see, and they're not obeying any of the traffic laws. They're going through stop signs, they're going through lights, and I'm not kidding, flying down Washington Street in the dark, in traffic lanes, and somebody, when you talk about safety, somebody's gonna get hurt. And it's not gonna be the fault of the driver when people are not following the laws.
If it helps the council, we did receive back in 2020, New York State's laws changed to allow municipalities to enforce additional rules on e-bikes, e-scooters, and similar devices. So we do have a paper from a professor at Cornell that sent us various model regulations and some thoughts and some things that other communities have done. We'll forward that along to the Public Safety Committee. It's something that we discussed with a former council member that was interested in it, and we're happy to push that along and have you guys take a look at it, see if there's any interest.
Thank you, I really
Of course.
appreciate that.
Very good. Anything else? Unanimous report? Guess it's all yours.
Okay, it's only 8 o'clock, got lots of time. Thank you all. First off, I apologize, I was not able to make last week's meeting. I appreciate all of you for reaching out. I did have a death in the family, so it was kind of an emergency that day and wasn't able to make it. So thank you for that. I don't have a lot for you all today, just a couple updates and some executive session items. Number one, I just wanted to let you all know that you may get phone calls from retirees and potentially active members. The city is issuing new health insurance cards because of the transition to Highmark. So Blue Cross Blue Shield to Highmark, which bought them out, does require us to issue new ID cards, okay? So everyone's gonna get them. They sent a letter to everyone letting them know that those new cards would be coming in. Some people have stopped in and a little confused, but it is because they are transitioning from the Blue Cross Blue Shield system to the Highmark system. Yeah, I believe, did you just get that one?
No, that's okay.
I think they might even be a little
They're
bit
different.
different.
We had Blue Cross.
So it's, we as a city also have to transition to their system to receive invoices and things like that, so. So that's why, wanted to just give you all an update in case you do get phone calls about it. And so if there is any issues, please feel free to direct them to Karen, our healthcare office, or feel free to direct them to my office. I'm happy to call and talk to folks about that. No major changes, as you all know, you approved the healthcare contract. They did change the name of the Good Life Plan to, I think, Well 360. But the plan still remains the same for everyone. I also want to encourage any council members that if you do have individuals that are interested in taking the Medicare plan and you need more information to provide those individuals with it, please let us know. We're happy to give you guys that information. We're offering that Medicare plan to retirees one more time at the recommendation of the Healthcare Committee. At this time, we have 0 retirees returning to the traditional plan. I believe there's still a little bit of time to switch over. December 15th is the last date to notify the city if anyone's switching off of the Medicare plan back to the traditional plan. We've received no retirees as of right now, okay. Which is pretty good. We've been eliciting feedback from retirees and others on that plan, and it's been fairly positive so far.
Excuse me, you're gonna have 2 enrollment periods for next year's 65 year older.
That's what we're thinking. We're thinking, obviously the first one, and then mid-year, we often see another batch of folks, but we'll talk to the healthcare committee at some point between then. But we did find that having the mid-year enrollment actually was pretty successful as well. A lot of people wanted to jump on and was turning 65 in that calendar year. So we'll probably try to offer that one more time. Were there any questions? And then the last item is that you all received our vetoes to the budget today, so feel free to take a look at them, go through them, let me know what additional questions you have. I really would love to continue the conversation. I think that we did not do a lot of vetoes, and I think there's some opportunity to talk about a budget amendment as we're going through this process. We did find additional funding that could be removed and added back into the budget, so it helps reduce some of the fund balance. We did make an alternate proposal in my veto message for you all. So we do want to continue that conversation, and I'll open that up. And we do have some time, I believe, for discussion, not a lot, but you guys can take a look at it and let me know this week what concerns you may have. I did send it all to you in advance for the most part, not the veto message itself, but kind of what we were thinking if there was additional feedback.
And by charter, we have to, if we are gonna have a vote to override any or all of those, it would have to be by
December 15th.
December 15th,
Yep.
which would be next Wednesday.
Yes, you'll have one more work session in between. Yep.
So we could either do that as part of the work session next week, if you so choose to do it that way, or come in sometime between Monday and Wednesday. If you want to have further discussions. That would be better. Look it over. I know that you got many of those earlier in the weekend, and you had a chance to look at those, but the official ones and some of the rationale behind it, decide which direction you want to go.
15th is a Thursday.
What's that?
15th is a Thursday.
Yeah, today's the, okay. Next Thursday, so yeah, next week.
I just had a quick question. And as far as your travel expenses, Mayor,
Sure.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot at all,
Oh, that's
but
okay.
maybe you can explain to us and to the public, like, are you traveling more, are you involved in more things than past mayors? And if so, why?
Sure. So, the answer to that is we are traveling more than we did in 2020 and 2021 to various conferences and other things. In terms of the actual overall costs, the former mayor spent around anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000 in travel expenses per year. So I think the budget amount that we had this year was somewhere around 11 grand. We're currently at about 9 or 10 for traveling this year. Majority of it is conferences for the New York Conference of Mayors. We do also have conferences for the National League of Cities, which we're a partner with. And so we've seen a lot more of that. A lot of this year's travel, though, has also been reimbursed to the city. So there were several conferences where, for example, our National League of Cities partner invited city staff to talk about workforce development and actually reimburse the city for all those travel expenses. So is there travel? Yes, but we are making a lot more both state and federal connections. We're doing a lot of lobbying both in Albany and DC and other places to help bring additional funding directly to the city.
Just as an FYI, all the schedules I got, that does not show reimbursement. So if you are being reimbursed, the schedule I got needs to be updated.
Sure, there was an Excel sheet that indicated which ones were coming in for reimbursements. We had marked those in particular, but we can certainly get you an updated sheet if there are more.
There's only one in this sheet.
Does it cost money to be part of the National League?
Of cities?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
What does that cost? Have you provided that in the past?
I think it's $1,500,
Ish, around there.
around
Something like that.
$1,500 to be part of the National League. And don't quote me on that, I don't have that right off the bat, but that's certainly it. Our membership in the New York Conference of Mayors is about $7,000.
That is accurate.
Yep.
2022, the expense was 3,508 for the National League of Cities,
Okay, maybe a little bit more, so I
and
apologize.
1992 for the United Conference of Mayors.
Yep. So we are a member of the US Conference of Mayors as well. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Is the majority of the transportation, to just car or flying or?
Depends on where it is. If it's Albany, it's all driving. If it is somewhere outside of the state, depending on where it is, it would be either driving or flying.
As far as engineering supplies, can you tell us what the importance of that is? What we're using that for and what the importance of those dollars are for?
Yeah. So we did put in the veto message the engineering supplies. One of the things that is a bit unique this year is the massive amounts of streetscape and road projects that Jeff and his team have been accomplishing. Most of it is due to federal and state funding for roads and others. The engineering line in particular usually goes to blueprints, other engineering costs for streetscape. Sometimes it's other miscellaneous engineering items, but really are focused mostly on the items it takes to redesign some of the items.
And if we exceed these dollar amounts mid-year next year, where would that money come from contingency?
Typically, you would do, it depends on the end of the year, there's an over-under that would either refund or move from somewhere else to fund those items.
I guess as a new kid on the block, if the mayor or Kim would like to explain to me what the procedure is in all of this. I understand vetoes, I understand overriding vetoes, but what's next as far as our jobs as city council be, and fiduciaries, if you would, for the city in your response here? I mean, what's next?
You have basically two choices. You can just put them all out and vote, you vote on the override. You would need 2/3 majority to override his vetoes, or to keep it as we voted on last Monday night. If any of those do not pass an override, then we would have to make a budget amendment, because if you're gonna add something back in, 1, 2, 3, or any of those, right? So, more, some combination there in between.
And that's done, what meeting is that done?
You have to call a special meeting.
You have to, because of the 15th, is that what I understand? Okay.
Since he put these out as a veto, and we have now until the 15th to respond to that, one way or the other. If we don't respond by the 15th, if we do absolutely nothing, these go into effect as he changes it, correct?
Correct.
Right. So we have to act upon, one way or the other, we either have to take some partially, all of his recommendations, or none of his recommendations, and either override all of them, override some of them, meet somewhere in the middle, whatever. And then whatever we do, if it changes any of the budget amounts that we passed last week, then we would have to, the following week, make an adjustment to the budget on a regular voting session to change.
As a finance chair, I do not recommend doing nothing regardless of how anyone feels. The charter was written to protect those, and establish a process. I'm firmly committed to, however the vote may go, following the process.
So in essence, there'll be a special meeting before the 15th.
So you can either.
That's what-
As the finance chair, I would recommend it, and having it next Monday, so there's not an extra night.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
What's the difference of waiting till the 15th at that point?
No, only, I threw that out there in case there was gonna be some other discussion
Fine.
at the work session. The other option would be, you could have the special voting session at the end of the meeting if you wanted to discuss it beforehand rather than vote on it before the meeting. If it makes any difference, I don't know.
In all honesty, this is my opinion, his list of vetoes is not that long, that I think it warrants a long discussion. I think people can read through it, and I guess if they have questions, direct them to the mayor, or however you feel, and have the vote. I mean, there's no sense dragging this through the mud.
And again, in order to override veto, you need 6 of them.
Well, for purposes of publication, you probably set a time. So you're gonna have to decide a time, so if you wait till the end of the meeting, you can't say it's gonna be at 8 o'clock and then do it at 8:30 or 7:30. So for Jen's purposes of publication, we have to decide, we're going to vote, and we're going to vote at this time, regardless of what.
I was planning on the meeting with you, I just wanted to see if there's any ideas to have a discussion, because after we leave tonight, there'll be no discussion. That's all. I mean, if we set the meeting at 8:30, we would go down at 8:30, vote, and if we weren't done, we could come back. And we'd have to see it. I was planning on setting the time, I just.
Okay, well, I just wanna be clear that we have to give notice, that we have to set a time,
That's
so.
fine, yes.
In addition, inside the veto message, there's another proposal as well on a budget amendment. So feel free to take a look at it, go through it. One of the things in particular is you removed the 2010 bond. There was an additional interest payment that could be removed and added back in as well. So we did make some additional proposals, because I didn't want to just give you all vetoes and not also try to make some proposals to try to work through and negotiate. So feel free to take a look, and I'll be available to anyone that wants to go through that or have some additional discussion.
When would you need to have that published? So if we have it on Monday, it would have to be by Friday. So I would suggest in the meantime that you'd like to let me know how you want to proceed.
I say Monday before the committee meeting. I don't know how many.
6:15, 6:30.
However, anybody else feels, speak up.
Yeah, I think so.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. Because I'm making up the committee. It's my opinion. It's earliest either after we don't, it will be all dependent on when that vote takes
other major items, again, if you have any additional questions, give me a call, and we're happy to walk through them. I do have some executive session items. I actually have 4 of them. I have one for an active law enforcement investigation,